So I have a 2005 RAV4, and as you can see, it's leaking oil right here from the valve cover gasket, so I had to change the valve cover gasket on it. So I figured I might as well make a video on how to change it. I've already gotten started and skipped the first few steps. But here's the full air box that you have. There's one 10mm nut right there. You take that off and you take the air box off. So it just leaves this portion of it. And then there's a couple other 10mm nuts or bolts, whatever. One right there, one right there, and two right there. So those have to come off. There's this connector here in the back. This pulls off right like that. There's this hose, also just pulls off like that. I just ended up putting 10mm socket on this. You can also use a Phillips head screwdriver and just unscrew it, loosen it up. I'm sorry that I'm doing this with one hand. This will come off, and then you just pull this whole thing off. This is what you're left with. Just so you can see everything. This is the connector that we pulled off. This is what we loosened to pull that off, the air box, and this is the hose that we took off. Now all that remains is, and I'll go through it step by step, but just an overview. You take all these out, okay, so you can pull all the coils, and then you can just start these 10mm nuts on the outside. You can start taking them off one by one, and if there's anything else in the way, I guess we'll find out, but you can see them all the way around. There's one right there, there's one right there. You just take them off, and then this whole thing will come off, and we'll clean the surface and change the gasket. All right, so we're gonna take these off one at a time. I'm not gonna bore you with all this. The best here, and all these nuts are out. Now all those bolts are out. You can just unclip these. It's a lot more difficult with gloves on than you'd think. Okay, and just pop them out, and you can see there's some oil leaking in there too, so I'll clean that off as well. It's probably because, you know, the valve cover gaskets has seals on the round seals on the inside too. They're probably leaking. And also get rid of this hose. Just get it out of the way because we're gonna need it off anyway. So just press and pull. It should do it. There we go. And I'll take the rest of these out and get back to it. Alright, I'm sorry for the shaky cam footage. I took all of them out. I took this hose out. This hose too, sorry, in the back has to come off. Okay. And then we're just gonna take these bolts off. Get this out of the way. And this is just so the wire harness has some room to move in that way. We can pull it out of the way and get to the other bolts. It's not a complicated thing. It's relatively straightforward. Sorry, I'm just recording my arm. Okay, so no, this is the thing. It was right here, so just move it out of the way, and that exposes this bolt. Same with his. Well, this one seems to be a little bit stuck, so there may be more stuff to move out of the way because it's not really kind of pulling out of the way. But what we'll try to do is work around it because this is the bolt, and if we can just slide it off this way, we don't have to open any of this other stuff up. So now I'm going to take off all these bolts. So essentially, it's the same process. I mean, just start taking them off.
And there's that one in the back, right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's hidden behind this wire. Right there. And this one. And then there's, right under this hose, this is out of the way, there's one right there, just so you can see. And,
okay, so the one last one that's kind of hidden is behind this wire. And oh, there you go, you can see it. So I'm going to take that off, and then what I'll do is I'll just pick up this valve cover and just slide a little bit. Oops, almost dropped the phone. So we can clear this part right there. Okay, so for this last one, if you're having some trouble, because it's kind of in the back and it's kind of, you know, a little bit difficult to get to, you're having trouble, just put an extension on them, and then it'll just make it a little bit easier. If you have these wobble extensions, they're very
handy, because you don't have to be completely straight up and down. It can be a little bit off to the side and it still works. But there we go, that's out. Away from the battery terminal.
okay. All right, well, so now it's gonna be stuck. It's definitely gonna be stuck, and I just don't want to make this too long, but you can just stick a flathead in there and just pry up on it. You can see it's loose now. So once it's loose, all you can do is just, it's so much more difficult doing this one-handed. Just pull up, just get it free, and then we'll get it. See, it's stuck on these, so you want to have it high enough to where it'll come off of that. And then, well, it just came straight up. So you see this crud right here? This is where the gasket sits. So you can't just take off the old gasket, slap a new one on, bolt it back down, and just call it a day, because this is gonna stop it from sealing well. So I mean, it's better if you do this without a paper towel, because you want to do this with something that doesn't have any lint that can fall into the head right here. Also be careful when you're taking this part out, because it'll be very brittle and you don't want anything falling into the head. So just kind of pry up on it a little bit and take it off in a way that nothing falls into the head. Anyway, I'm gonna clean it towards me, so like this. Okay, see all this crud? If you put a new gasket on without cleaning this off, it's gonna stop it from seating on it properly, and then it's gonna leak. It's gonna continue to leak, and I mean, the whole point of the gasket is so it doesn't leak. So yeah, and then come back and hit it with some brake cleaner or something, and then clean it again. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna do this for like the big stuff, you know, and then I'm gonna get some brake cleaner. I'm gonna spray it around here. Or alcohol will work too, and then all the way around, you know, get it all the way around. Once you got the surfaces cleaned off, I'm gonna put it in on the left-hand side first, and there's these wires in the way, and then you can get them out of the way a little bit. Okay, so I put this side in first, just so then I could go under the wires on this one, and it's on there. It's good. So at this point you start putting back these, and the proper way to do it would be to have a torque wrench, and I believe it's 8 foot-pounds that you torque it down to. I don't have a torque wrench, so I'm just gonna snug it up and hope for the best. And I'm sorry, and I wish I had done it the proper way, but right now I don't have the torque wrench, and I need to get this over with. So that's it. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the details of just me tightening nuts down, but you just everywhere you took a nut or bolt out, you put that back on, and there's only 2 nuts. So one goes on right there, other goes on right here. There's 2 really long ones that go in there, and the other ones are all the same size, and they go, you know, all the other holes that are left, essentially. And that's it. And then you can put these bolts back in for the wires to keep them in place, and then you can put this hose back, put the back hose back, and put your coils back in, plug them back in, put your air box back on, tighten this part up, plug in this connector to the air box, plug in this hose to the air box, and then all the 2 main nuts that go to the air box, and then the bracket that goes on.